Hey y'alls, welcome back. It's me, Dr. Edwards. This time here to help you out with our second module, Ecology and Evolution, Culture, Genes, Language, and the Biocultural Matrix. How's that for a mouthful? So this week we're really further developing a more of a nuanced understanding about how people are not separate from nature. Okay, we are in we are a biological organism, right? And in that perspective, we're no different than an elephant, an ant, a zebra, a giraffe. Doesn't matter. If you're a living thing, there are certain pressures on you. Okay, and that doesn't change because we just happen to be humans. Okay. Now, what's really interesting is that we have something that does separate us from other animals. Right? We have culture. And I like to think of culture as, well, let me use a Star Wars analogy, like the Force. Okay, it surrounds everything. Culture is how we understand the world and ascribe meaning to it. Right? It's it's everywhere. From the language you speak to the clothes you wear, the food you eat, how you organize yourselves. That's all cultural. Okay. Now, what's really interesting is that biology and culture can connect. Right. One is not necessarily separate from the other. They both can influence each other. Let me give you an example. So you read about natural selection and reproductive success and things like that. So I'm not going to go over that again. But let me give you an example that kind of highlights culture and biology and their intersection. What if all of a sudden, I don't know, men were only attracted to women with blue eyes? Okay, you could pick any trait, right? Hair color, eye color, length of nose, width of nose. Doesn't matter, right? Pick one. And what if, and that's going to be a cultural value, right? That's going to be something that, for some reason, that culture places a value on it. Now, the biological effect is that you will produce more of that. Okay. Um, I'll give you for the blue eye example. If women are only attracted to men with blue eyes, or vice versa, it doesn't really matter. You will produce offspring with blue eyes, right? They will become more and more and more and more. Now, we also want to add kind of a third level to this. This helps kind of create our biocultural matrix. We got biology, we got culture, and then we need to include environment. Okay, because we're a very generalized species, we readily adapt to all these different environments, right? And in those different environments, there are unique resources, and we use those in particular ways to sustain ourselves. Okay, uh, so yeah, if you look at Diamond in our readings this week, his examples of natural experiments talking about the spread of human habitation in Polynesia. It's great stuff. He's outlining how particular islands had particular resources, and people, when they arrived, they had, was it, three domesticated species, uh, and because there were different environments, some groups developed into large kind of chiefdoms, excuse me, where you had a central authority with subgroups that developed agriculture. Other groups actually reverted to hunter-gatherer. Now, I don't want you to get the idea that, you know, being a chiefdom or an agriculture society is better than being a hunter-gatherer society, right? That is that's just not helpful thinking. Okay, rather we want to apply our cultural relativism and understand that each group is unique and they are going to be well, in order to understand them, you have to have kind of an inside perspective. You have to understand them and their particular history in that place. Okay. We actually get to thank the father of American anthropology for this idea. His name's Franz Boas, and he's the guy who came forward back when uh, uh, social evolution, Darwinian evolution was applied to people, and people were outlining how there were these various races that were organized in hierarchies. Boas was the guy that said, no, race does not explain the differences between these groups. Culture does. Okay, and to really understand the differences, you have to understand the particular history of that group in that place through time. Okay, um, so yeah, the Polynesia example by Diamond really does a nice job of highlighting that. Uh, what are some other key things to touch on this week? Looking at my notes. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, uh, one good thing that's brought up in our readings is the concept of altruistic behavior. Right? This is in Bates, and he talks about uh, why would one animal or one individual um, put itself at risk for another? That's altruism. Okay. Uh, for example, prairie dogs. Often, prairie dogs, one will give an alarm call if there's some danger approaching, like a hawk's overhead. But by doing so, he's actually drawing attention to himself. Well, we can look at it from a biological perspective and see that that individual will probably share a certain portion of genes with its community members. Okay, and as long as they reproduce, he essentially has reproduced as well. Okay, this is called the coefficient of relatedness, Hamilton's rule. It's really cool stuff. Now, people, we're a critter too. We do things like that all the time. All right. Now, here's the interesting thing. Where is it culture and where is it biology? You know, um, for example, in our own society, we place certain values on socioeconomic status, right? That you have to have, you want a nice house, a nice job to pay for it all, a nice car, yada yada, right? Now, how much of that is just unique cultural adaptation, right? And how much is that is connected to biology? Because might that have an influence on your reproductive success, right? Um, so yeah, I don't want to suggest it's more one-sided than the other, but understand that it's a dynamic relationship, that culture and biology are intimately related, and on top of that, it's rooted in environment, right? Because as I said before, all environments are the resource base. Okay, no resources, you got to have food to survive. Um, yeah, another one that I wanted to touch on in this week's readings is Diamond and his discussion of colonization of the New World. This is essentially his idea for the entire book, Gun, Germs, and Steel. He's outlining how Pizarro came on over to the New World and uh, colonized the Inca, and you would think that based on population numbers that it would have resulted differently, but certain technological advantages resulted in different in a different outcome. The greatest loss of life known. I mean, the colonization of the New World was changed the face of the earth, literally. Uh, yeah. Another good thing to point out in this week's readings, I really like this. Check out Iron's research. It's in Kronk, and I think it was actually Kronk's advisor. Don't quote me on that, but talking about Irons and Rappaport, some really great examples of kind of seeing how these unique cultural adaptations are reflective of key values, and what's considered a value in one group is kind of the key indicator to assess success, right? And in this case, it's was it Irons looks at their ability to for reproductive success. Yeah, you can. There's a lot of research that will outline that, say, like in a hunter-gatherer society, you may have a hunter that is particularly good, right? They always bring home the bacon. Okay, they may have greater reproductive success, all right, in that group than others that aren't good hunters. Their children might even receive certain benefits. You know, where is that cultural and where is that biological? Okay, well, the resources are rooted in the environment. It's kind of a gray area. So yeah, these are just some productive, just some thoughts to help you think about this week's reading material and help you all to digest it. And of course, I'm going to be looking forward to your all's discussion questions this week. Um, yeah, I really curious what you all will come up with.